In this video on percentage solutions, we're going to look at what volume of liquid you would need to make up a volume by volume solution. Now, say you needed to make up a 25.4% volume by volume solution and you had 188 mils of water. What volume of the other liquid would you need to add to that 188 mils to get a 25.4% solution? Well, using the equation percentage volume by volume is equal to V1 over Vt multiplied by 100, where Vt is equal to V1 plus V2, and V1 is the volume of the liquid you're adding, and V2 is the volume of the solvent, in this case water. So this means that percentage volume by volume is equal to V1 over V1 plus V2 multiplied by 100. Now, from the question, we know that V2, the volume of the solvent, the water, is 188 mils, and that the final percentage we require is 25.4%. So if we substitute in these values, we get 25.4 is equal to V1 divided by V1 plus 188 multiplied by 100. Now, if we go back and look at the equation, percentage volume by volume is equal to V1 divided by V1 plus V2 multiplied by 100. We can rearrange this and start to isolate for V1. So if we move the 100 across, we get percentage divided by 100 is equal to V1 divided by V1 plus V2. Now, we'll use a mathematics trick here, and what we will do is we will say that P, our percentage, is actually equal to percentage volume by volume divided by 100, and then substitute that in. So we then get P is equal to V1 divided by V1 plus V2. We can move the V1 plus V2 over, so this gives us P multiplied by V1 plus V2 is equal to V1. So we're starting to isolate for V1, which is what we need to know. If we multiply across, we get PV1 plus PV2 is equal to V1. We then move the PV1 back over, so this gives us PV2 is equal to V1 minus PV1. And this means we can isolate for V1 because this gives us PV2 is equal to V1, open brackets, 1 minus P, close brackets. So we're now isolating for the values. We can then move over the 1 minus P, and this means we've isolated for V1 because V1 is equal to PV2 divided by 1 minus P. So we have now V1 is equal to PV2 divided by 1 minus P. We know that P is equal to percentage volume by volume divided by 100 because we defined it as that, and we know that percentage volume by volume is equal to 25.4%. Therefore, P is equal to 25.4 divided by 100, so P must equal 0.254. Now, if we go back to the equation, V1 is equal to PV2 divided by 1 minus P and substitute in the values. If we put in the values for P and V2, we get 0.254 multiplied by 188 divided by 1 minus the value for P, which is 0.254. If we then just work through the maths, 0.254 multiplied by 188 is 47.752, and 1 minus 0.254 is 0.746. And if we do that division of 47.752 divided by 0.746, we get a value of 64.01 mils. But hang on, remember, the question asked you for the volume in litres to 3 decimal places. So 64.01 mils is 0.064 litres. Remember, there are 1,000 mils in a litre. And that's it. That's how you answer this type of question on volume by volume percentage solutions.